Happy Wednesday. Hi. Welcome to episode number 67 of Awkwardly Awesome Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Freeman. When I'm not podcasting, one of the things I love to do is speak to junior high and high school students about great things like kindness, courage, perseverance, and creativity. But today I'm so excited to have just an amazing guest, Tim 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 Swann. And let me tell you a little about Tim. I have to say I think I mispronounced his last name there, but we'll get it eventually. So how's that for transition? What? So, okay, back to regular programming. Tim Swann loves live streaming. He is the founder and CEO of Sohn Social Media Solutions. And aside, Tim and I talk extensively. I should have spent more time asking him how to say his last name. He is an award-winning producer and coach of live stream shows and virtual events for brands and organizations who want to build community relationships and impact. He is also a 15-year leukemia survivor and has shared his cancer journey for the first time in June 2021 and continues to do so on many live shows and virtual events and other media outlets. Tim believes it's important to be #radiating well about some aspect of your personal life because it makes you more relatable and inspires others to share their personal stories and can grow your business and career. Tim is the main host of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, uh, an incredible weekly live stream show that he hosts along with his bestie Kara Oelker, who is co-host and producer. He is also co-host of the Tim and Jim Show. Tim and Jim celebrated the 30-year anniversary of that show in August. Please, without further hesitation or ado, welcome Tim Sohn.
Thank you so much, Jason Freeman. Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. I just want to dance. I'm ready to go.
Yay, thanks for being here, Tim. First, the burning question of the last 5 minutes is just a sec. This will tell me the answer.
What
This
is the
will
first
tell
question?
me the answer I ask.
What is the question?
Cool. Oh, this will tell me the answer.
Today's guest, Tim Sohn.
So, hey, Tim Sohn.
Hello, Jason Freeman.
Cool, Tim Sohn. So I got the answer to how to pronounce your last name from that. So that was great.
Yes. Sohn. It's Sohn. Kind of like sewn, all sewn up.
And you've told me that before, but I don't remember that.
That's okay. Let us know in the comments how you say Sohn. We want to know.
So, yes, we do. And before we go down a completely random train with this, I mean, which we are prone to do. Thinking back on your childhood when you were a kid, who were two of your biggest influences?
Two of my biggest influences. That is a wonderful question. And I would say two of my biggest influences would be my mom and my dad. My mom and my dad are both extremely giving people. Their mom is one of those people that is always sending cards to people for their anniversary, for their birthday, for whatever holiday it is that you never heard of, or if they're celebrating and if nobody else knows about that occasion, she knows about it and she sent a card for it. Both of my parents have helped with they helped create a homeless shelter in Brewster, New York a number of years ago.
Wow.
My dad helps with the immigrant population in Brewster, New York. At a church there, he helped a number of years ago get Spanish masses going for them, and helps in a number of ways with that. They're both just very loving, giving, caring people. And so I would say they're probably the most two influential people growing up for me, for sure.
Well, wow. They sound awesome. Now I want to meet them.
Yes, we should definitely arrange a meetup somewhere between New York and South Dakota.
Yeah. I was trying to think of a witty add-on to that, but all I can think of is yes, we should sometime. Yes. So what's one of your favorite stories from when you were a kid? Like something you like to tell often?
One of my favorite stories from when I was a kid. Well, every year at Christmas time, my parents used to invite over our neighbors on Christmas. Like they would watch us open our presents, and my parents would make breakfast for them. And there were a lot of especially elderly neighbors that would come over, and we would also my parents would lead Christmas caroling through the building. We lived in an apartment building in New York City. I lived in New York City until the end of third grade. So even though it's New York City and it's this big, gigantic place, New York City, we had like a very community feel inside the building. And so, yeah, that's what I would say. And also shout out to Mariah Edgington and my bestie Kara for being here in the comments.
Yeah, Mariah's from Iowa. That's cool. I'm in Brandon, South Dakota right now, Mariah.
That's awesome. And she and Byron just had an awesome masterclass on self-care a few hours ago. So bravo to them for doing an awesome job on that.
That's so one of the things that needs to be taught now. Self-care, huge.
Now more than ever.
And thanks, Carol. Thanks, Carol, for being here. You're amazing.
Lifting you hearts, Kara, bestie.
So after you moved from New York City, where did you move to?
We moved about an hour and a half north in New York State to a town called Lake Carmel, New York.
Cool. And And what part of the country did you go to college in?
I went to college in Danbury, Connecticut, which was about a half an hour away from where my parents lived and where we had moved to in Lake Carmel, New York. And I had actually majored in Spanish. I have not used it at all in my career. I ended up going into journalism after that. But I went to college at Western Connecticut State University in Danbury, Connecticut. Love you too, Kara Oelker.
During college, did you go to any Spanish countries for a semester or anything?
No, I did not.
So then you graduated from college, and I love this part of the story. So you lived in the city as a young kid, then you moved to an
Lake
hour
Carmel.
away, and then you went to college close to there. But then where was your first journalism job?
Yeah, so after I graduated from college, my first real journalism job was in Farmington, New Mexico, in the Four Corners region of New Mexico.
So was that at all like where you had grown up?
No, not at all. I was looking for a journalism job in New York or Connecticut, and it was really hard to find a job. The market was very competitive at the time. And so I decided I would just apply everywhere. I went to journalismjobs.com and I applied in Texas, in New Mexico, in anywhere that there was a journalism job opening. And this guy named Barry from the Daily Times in Farmington, New Mexico, left me a voicemail one day and said, "This is Barry," with a New Mexico accent, however that went. I'm not even going to try. And I called him back and he said, "We want to fly you." This does not happen very often anymore. "We want to fly you out to Farmington, New Mexico to interview you to be a copy editor at our daily newspaper." No, un poquito, hablo un muy poquito, ito.
But one problem with flying you out to Farmington, New Mexico is they don't have a large airport in Farmington. So where did you have to fly into, and how far did you have to drive?
Well, first I had to fly into Albuquerque, which is 3 hours from Farmington. And then there actually is a very small airport in Farmington. But the plane that I had to take from Albuquerque to Farmington is so small, and you could feel like every shake and twist and turn, and it was extremely nerve-wracking, but definitely worth the trip because they gave me the job.
Have you ever been in a small airplane like that before?
No, that was my first experience. And there was a storm going on, either going out or coming back. So it was shaking a lot. Yeah.
It what?
It was shaking a lot.
Oh.
Yeah. But I survived. I'm here.
What was your first impression of Farmington when you landed and you saw the town?
It was a lot different. I mean, it's desert. It's near the Navajo reservation, and it's just totally different from where I grew up in New York. It was funny. I went to a number of restaurants when I was there. "Hey, Bill Bradford, where are you in the world today? We want to know. Are you in Pittsburgh or are you traveling?" I went to a restaurant and I asked for eggs and I don't remember what. And they said, "Red or green?" And I said, "Red or green what?" And they said, "Chili." And I was like, I don't even remember what I said. I think I said red because I'd never even heard of green chili before. it was just a whole new experience for me. It was exciting, but totally, I did not expect to end up in Farmington, New Mexico, of all places.
So what would you say to someone who's considering maybe stepping out and into a new experience, but is kind of hesitant and shy about it?
Just do it. Try it. I only stayed 6 months. I still only stayed there for 6 months, but it gave me experience. Um it gave me experience about, it gave me knowledge of a different location. It gave me 6 months of experience at a newspaper that I was there when 9/11 happened.
Oh,
So, it gave me experience working at the daily newspaper. We had to put out 2 editions when 9/11 happened. I had to go in early. It was craziness. Um, and that was such a sad day.
oh.
But it was, I would say just do it. Give it a shot. What is there to lose? You know, you end up somewhere else. The next place I ended up was New Hampshire, the complete opposite of New Mexico.
Both with new, but
I've lived in
no,
all the new states, actually.
that's a major accomplishment.
I should put it on my LinkedIn profile, don't you think? I'm just kidding.
So shifting gears a little bit, what do
Quickly,
you love about live streaming?
live streaming, I love the sense of community. I love that we can show up and be with other people, especially with the pandemic, and that we can all, show up and support each other, be there for each other, provide value to each other, and just show up and have conversations like this. Um, to me, live streaming is all about community. It's all about relationships, building relationships. It's all about building impact. Those are like the big 3 words that pop in my head when you say live streaming are relationships, impact, and community. And that's what I love about live streaming.
And I mean, it's so interesting, like building relationships. We can literally build relationships with people all over the world through live streaming.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, look, we're here right now, right? You're in South Dakota. I'm in my basement in the middle of freaking nowhere in Pennsylvania, and we're having this conversation right now, right? It's amazing.
And I mean, someday we'll meet in person, but we haven't yet.
Yeah, and in June, Kara Oelker and I, my bestie, met for the first time on Shout Out Saturday. She showed up. She claimed me as her bestie, and now we're best friends. And she and I co-host Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer together. Like, who would have thought that would have ever happened, right? And I'm so grateful for her, and and the journey that we're going on together as friends, and through the collaborations we're on together, making impact together, building community together.
Yeah, and we'll get more into that amazing show in a bit. But talk
Yeah.
about making impact together is phenomenal.
Yeah, I mean, what do you want me to talk about?
What do you love most about being a father?
About being a father?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I love the most about being a father is the smiles that you see on your children's faces. anytime, but like especially on like Christmas, like the wonder that you see in children's eyes Christmas morning when they wake up, or even leading up to Christmas. We have the elf on the shelf, and every morning when they're looking for our elf on the shelf's name is Aurora. So Aurora goes out on uh, the night of Thanksgiving.
Oh.
So every morning, Megan and Caitlin are up early looking for Aurora, trying to find her. And I just love the wonder that, that children have, that innocence, that joy that you see, in children's eyes, especially around the holiday time. Other times too, like lately, Caitlin's 7 and Megan's 10. And Caitlin is at such a fun age now. She wants to dance with me all the time now. So we dance to Raining Tacos in the kitchen. We say, Alexa. Oh, wait, do you have an Alexa, Jason?
No, not down here.
Okay, good. So, but if anybody else has one, you might have a song playing. We do Caitlin's favorite song right now is Raining Tacos on Alexa. So we dance to Raining Tacos and some other songs. But basically the point was just seeing the smile in children's eyes, and just the joy and the wonder of children is just amazing. And when I get to experience that with them, even like the other day, there was a snow day, and so I was able to go outside with them and go sledding in the snow, and that is so much fun.
Oh, as a kid, I love snow days. Wow.
Yes. I don't like the shoveling part, but I love the being able to go sledding with them part. That part's fun.
That's so cool. So cool.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you love most about? First of all, describe where you live, and then answer what do you love most about living in the woods? Because you're no longer in Farmington, right?
No, I've moved many places since then. I live in a town called Shahola, Pennsylvania. I like to say, "Oh, Shahola." It usually goes like this, "Oh, Shahola," like
Oh,
that.
sure.
Yes, somebody take a screenshot.
Oh, sure.
Yes. It's about 2 hours from New York City. It's about an hour from Scranton, Pennsylvania. About 3 hours from Hershey or Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What was your other question?
So wow, you said 2 hours from New York City.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this experience of living really, like, when you say in the woods, we're talking in the woods. Like you said during hunting season, your daughters had to not go out to the playground because they were worried about hunters near the playground.
That's true. There's hunting season, there's deer hunting season, and there's also bear hunting season. And during those times, our children are not allowed to go outside for recess at school because there's property nearby that I guess there's hunting allowed on. So, I'm grateful that our school takes all the precautions so that our children don't get shot. Yes.
That's very good.
Yes.
What do you love about living in the woods?
I love the peacefulness of it. I don't know if I necessarily love living here. I love escaping to the woods. Like when I want to be somewhere where I'm like I just want to be somewhere that's peaceful and serene, and maybe I'm like feeling overwhelmed and I want to run away to the forest. Literally, I go to this place in Milford, Pennsylvania by the river, this specific one spot, and I love to go there. Sometimes I wish that I lived somewhere that was more like somewhere that had a main street that I could like walk to a deli or Dunkin' Donuts, or where there's more people, because I love people. Not quite as much during a pandemic in person, but I love people, and I love that sense of community, you know.
So you don't even have a Dunkin'?
Well, in Milford, half an hour away. I have to go half an hour. Well, there's one about 20 minutes away. That's the closest. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Tell us about the Tim and Jim show.
Tim and Jim show, sure. So the Tim and Jim show, we started more than 3 years ago. We celebrated our 3-year anniversary with our guest was Winnie Sun. We started that show. I actually bumped into Jim Fuse on another live show. There's an online marketer, her name's Lindsay Anderson, and another online marketer, her name was Lindsay Phillips. And they were doing a show called Marketing and Merlot. And they spontaneously brought Jim on their show. And I think he was talking about IGTV for Instagram. And I was already doing, I was doing lives. I was interviewing people on lives, but I wanted to have a co-host. And so I messaged Jim and I said, hey, Jim, do you want to be a guest on my show one day to talk about Google My Business? Because he knew a lot about Google My Business also. And he said, sure. And then after that show, I sent him an email and I said, hey, do you want to do a show together? And he said, sure. So the Tim and Jim show is every Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern time. You could watch on my LinkedIn, my Tim Sohn LinkedIn profile. And we bring on amazing guests in to talk about anything to grow small businesses. So anything marketing related, health, mindset, finance, really anything to grow small businesses. My bestie Kara has been on the show. We've had so many amazing guests over the last 3 years.
What episode are you on now?
I don't even know the number. I couldn't tell you.
That's awesome.
I wish I knew.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Will you translate this comment from Bill?
Dunder Mifflin Country. Bill, are you in Scranton? Are you in Scranton? Because if you're in Scranton, I am an hour from you. Bill, can we do coffee tonight?
You could do Dunkin's tonight.
Bill, are you in Scranton? Message me. Okay, there's that.
And then
oh, Byron. Hey, Byron. I was commenting earlier during their self-care class about ice cream, because why not during a self-care class message comment about ice cream, right? Because sometimes you just need ice cream to take care of yourself.
Unfortunately, it looks like no Dunkin's with Bill. He says he's home.
Oh, you're home. Okay, another time. So you're saying I'm near Dunder Mifflin Country. I think that's what he was saying. True.
Yeah, he just said, yeah.
Now that that's cleared up.
Who is Dunder Mifflin?
Have you ever seen the show The Office?
Not really.
You have to see the show The Office.
Yeah, I'm way behind the times.
It's okay. You have time. You're still alive.
So why is it? Why are you a big proponent of sharing parts of our personal story with other people?
I'm a big proponent of sharing parts of your personal story because it makes you more relatable with other people. If, especially as business owners, if all we ever did was share about business stuff, like if all I ever put out was 5 ways to level up your live stream show, right? That might be helpful for you, right? But what else, like, is that all you care about? Like, if you were going to work with some live stream coach, let's say, right? Like, do you care about more than live stream tips? Like, you could Google that kind of stuff, right? Like, you're going to want to know other things about the person than just about live stream tips that they can YouTube or Google or whatever. So, I mean, it makes you more relatable. It connects you with other people that have gone through similar situations, right? So let's say one thing that I love is I love going to Dunkin' Donuts every day, right? Well, it's donuts isn't in the name anymore, but Dunkin' every day, right? So if I do a post saying, hey, I was in Dunkin' today, and I take a picture, maybe I'm just like holding a coffee. Maybe it's not even maybe my face isn't even in the picture because that's not necessary, right? And I just say, hey, I was in line at Dunkin' today, and and maybe share a story of what happened at Dunkin', right? Maybe I ran into somebody I knew. One thing that I used to love when I used to actually go to Dunkin' and I would bring my laptop and sit there before COVID. And there is this home nearby for people that have brain injuries. So people used to come into Dunkin' from that home. And so I would like look forward to having conversations with some of these people, and then COVID hit and I haven't seen a lot of them in a long time. So going back to your question about like why share more personal aspects is like, we're all humans first, right? Like we all have things that that connect us, that make us relatable to each other. Like Jim Fuse on the Tim and Jim show. He loves the Atlanta Braves. I do not relate with him on that because I know nothing about sports. But guests come on our show that do love sports. And so he connects with them about sports, right? So there's another example. It could be sports. It could be coffee. It could be family. It could be, so many different things. I started sharing my story about living with leukemia in June. There's so many different things though that we connect with on the human level that just make us more relatable.
So you were in a class online, I think, and you shared a story about a connection between your daughter and your sister. Then could you tell that story and then tell what happened? Because it's amazing.
Yeah, sure. So a few months ago, I did a workshop with Nancy Barrows, who created the Radiating Real movement.
Shout out to Nancy.
Yeah, shout out to Nancy Barrows for sure. And I shared this story because I created a Radiating Real post about it, that I have a sister named Mary who passed away when she was 7 from a sudden brain aneurysm. And our daughter, Caitlin, who is now 7, that she has the same birthday, October 13th, as Mary, who passed when she was 7. So I don't know why this year that struck me especially hard. Like it was just on my mind a lot. And I ended up going to the cemetery after writing this post. And so me and Nancy did this workshop and I shared this. We were talking about the power of personal content and how creating personal content makes you more relatable. So after this workshop, one of the people that were in the workshop messaged me and she said that her dad passed away on October 13th, which is the same day as their birthday. And so she'll remember that story because it's the same date of their birthday and the same date that her dad passed. So that's just one example of, first of all, what a coincidence, right? That happened. Not that it happened, but that she happened to be in that workshop as I'm sharing that story about that, you know.
And if you hadn't shared that story, she wouldn't have had the chance to make that connection.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so you've also started fairly recently sharing your story about your 15-year journey with leukemia. What was that like sharing it for the first time with Joe Q Public? I don't know why I chose Joe Q Public, but I thought I would.
Well, the first time I shared it publicly on a live show was on Jenny Gold's show, Jenny Gold's podcast, not podcast show. So shout out to Jenny Gold.
Shout out to Jenny Gold.
The second time I shared it was on Nancy Barrows' show. So shout out to Nancy Barrows.
Shout out to Nancy Barrows.
The third time I shared it was on Ira Bowman and Joe Stepke's show. So shout out to Ira Bowman and Joe Stepke. But going back to your question, it was nerve-wracking. It was uncomfortable, but there were three things that happened that inspired me to share my story for the first time. One was Jenny Gold invited me on her show, and it was going to be that week because somebody else was going to be on her show and they couldn't make it.
Oh, I didn't know that. Someone canceled, so suddenly you had this opportunity.
Yeah. Steve Sullivan, who's a 35-year acute leukemia survivor, he created a video on National Cancer Survivor Day sharing his story. So that had a big influence on me.
Shout out to Steve.
Shout out to Steve Sullivan. Yes. And then the third thing was that I had started creating Radiating Real posts. Shout out to Nancy Barrows after she started the Radiating Real movement, which is all about just showing up as your beautiful, real, authentic self. You don't have to be all polished and shiny. And so I started creating more vulnerable, real content. And so all of these three things were just going on in the same week. And I just thought that these things had to all be happening in the same week. And it was just time. I had never planned on sharing my journey with cancer in depth on a live show ever. Like, I never thought of doing it. I had always had this sense of, I don't know if guilt is the word. I've always been very blessed in the sense that I've never been very sick while I've had my cancer. I take oral chemo medication. I don't get side effects from it. And I've just been very blessed. And so I've always had sort of this, I don't know if guilt is the word, but I know that other people that have leukemia, some of them are struggling much more than me. So who am I to show up and share my story when they are struggling so much more than I am? But all these things happened, and I just thought all these things must be happening at the same time for a reason. So I shared it, and it was uncomfortable. Jenny made it as comfortable as she can. And Jenny was in my live streaming course. So I felt as comfortable as I could, but as comfortable as you can 15 years after being diagnosed with cancer, sharing it for the first time, right? Like it's not easy. And something I would say for people thinking about sharing, whether it's cancer or something else, like at that deep level, something personal at that deep level is think about, like, are you comfortable sharing it? Don't share something that you're not comfortable sharing until you're ready,
So what's the distinction? You said you were nervous on Jenny's show, but you were ready to share.
Mm-hmm.
But so what's the distinction between nervous but being ready to go for it and being so uncomfortable? It's like no, I'm not going to share that right now.
I mean, like I said, I felt like all these things were happening for a reason. And like sometimes we have to do things that are uncomfortable, And I'm glad I did, because so many things have happened as a result of sharing, like connecting with other survivors, starting this Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer show with my bestie Kara, and so many other things. I've had the opportunity to share my story on many other shows and virtual events and other places.
So to your list of why live streaming matters is you could it can be profoundly healing for people because you were able to share on Jenny's show because of a series of live streaming things that got you ready, like to share. So you shared, and then you were able to ripple that energy out through the live streaming universe, and now you're on episode 10. You and your bestie Kara on episode 10
Shout
of
out to my
Showing Up
bestie.
Perspectives on Cancer, and how many you have people already coming to the show from all over the world, right?
We do. We have people from South Africa to South Dakota to Santiago de Chile to New Zealand, the United States, Canada, the UK. I mean, all over the place. And it's just such an honor that people trust us to show up in that safe space we created for cancer survivors and supporters to come together and share their stories and show up to support each other. This show is nothing like Kara or I have ever put together before. Nothing. And the show came together rather quickly in a matter of just a few weeks when we put it together. But we're just so grateful. And I see Jenny Gold is in the comments. She's saying it's the replay. However, we caught you. You're here live, Jenny Gold. And I just shouted you out for giving me the safe space to share my leukemia story for the first time. So nice try with Team Replay, but we see that you're alive. Nice try.
Just the ripple effect of all of this is amazing. So it was just this June, just a few months ago, that you share your story on Jenny's show. Or...
June of 2021, and now it's January of 2022. Yeah.
And through so seeing what Steve wrote, seeing I'm getting. So the three things were Steve, Nancy is radiating well,
Right.
and Jenny giving you an opportunity, and from that now you and Kara have this opportunity to bring guests on to maybe share their story for the first time on your show, and that's impacting people all over the world, and that's just 6 months of energy moving out. I mean, people, we're not talking years of stuff here, just 6 months. That's amazing.
Yeah. I would have never thought. And who would have thought on LinkedIn, right? Like, who would have thought connecting with cancer survivors on LinkedIn? But the reality is that so many people are connected to cancer in some way, whether you're a survivor, whether you have a family member who's a survivor, whether you're a family member who has passed from cancer, or some other connection. So many people are impacted by cancer in some way. And that's just the reality. So we're just so grateful for everyone who shows up. And one of the things that we really love about the show is people show up in the comments like you, Jason, and share your connections to cancer, share your perspectives on cancer, and show up and support each other in the comments, but as well the guests on the show, because it's not easy. It is not easy to show up on a live stream show and share your cancer story.
No.
Whether it's your own or a family member passed or whatever it is not easy. So the fact that so many people show up to support people, somebody who shows up for the show every week, Ellen, said one week that the show is part talk show and part support group. And that's truly what it is. Part talk show, part support group. And the support group part is the part that the show would not be successful if it was not for everyone who shows up to support each other.
But I would say part support group, part talk show, and then part dancing, right?
Yes, part dance party. Absolutely.
And I mention that because I mean you talk about deeply serious, painful stuff oftentimes on the show, but you also bring the joy. I mean, you also have dance, and you weave in both as you can, which I find really very appealing.
I appreciate that, Jason. And I think somebody said one week in the comments that on the show we go through all of I don't know if it was all the emotions of grief or all of the whatever it is, we go through all the emotions during the hour, right? The sadness, laughter, all of them we go through in the matter of the hour. And we do try to laugh, because if we didn't laugh, we would be crying during the whole hour probably. So we do definitely try to, and there are so many things to be grateful for, even if, there are, definitely things that are, people that have passed, or, challenging situations that people have gone through. There's always things to be grateful for, and so we want to celebrate that on the show as well.
And you set me up for my next question, but first, Jenny, go ask guess who is on my show in 2 weeks. Can
Who
you
is it?
guess, Tim? Can you guess?
Who is it? Is it
Me.
Jason Freeman?
Yeah, good guess.
Yeah. Oh my
And
gosh,
then
I have to be there.
And then Jenny says, I'm proud of you, Tim. Aww.
Well, I want to say I'm very proud of Jenny Gold also, because Jenny Gold was in my live streaming course. She was doing her show recorded, I think, on Zoom before. And then she came in my course, and then she is she's doing an amazing job with her show now and giving people space. Like I said, she gave me space to share my story and giving other people safe space to share their stories as well. So I am so proud of you, Jenny Gold, as well. Go you.
Go Jenny Gold.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on, Brian.
Thank you, Byron.
Byron.
Love. Jason, how do you say it? Love.
Love.
Yes, I can't believe we're 50 minutes into the show and we only did one love so far.
We have so much to cover. So speaking of gratitude, what are a couple of things your journey with leukemia has taught you that has made you a better person? I don't think my grammar was the best in that sentence, but you get the gist.
3 things that my journey with leukemia has taught me.
Yeah, 3 things or a couple of things, or take it wherever you want it.
Anywhere? Are you sure you want that? No, I'm just kidding. One thing is the importance of support and friendship and surrounding yourself with people that you love and that love you, and you know, having a support system is so important, especially when you're going through something like cancer. So that's one thing. And, you know, people don't always have that depending on their situation. But if you do find yourself in that situation, I know that like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, I know they have support groups. So if you do have cancer or a family member has cancer, reach out to like the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society or the American Cancer Society. Different organizations have different support groups and resources that can help. You know, I think having some sort of support is so important. I forgot the question. This is bad.
How do people find that? Speaking of support, what's the easiest way for them to find your showing up?
The show. Yes. The show, they could just go to my LinkedIn, just search for Tim Sohn, Sohn on LinkedIn. I'll put the link in the comments afterwards. We broadcast the show on LinkedIn as well as Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, but LinkedIn is usually where most people gather. And it's on Tuesdays at 8:00 Eastern time.
And then you mentioned just comment briefly on that being on this journey has taught you to advocate for yourself in the healthcare system. Can you say a little more about that?
Yeah, I mean the healthcare system is not always the easiest to navigate. I mean, not every doctor is going to have the best advice for you. Like, we're all individual people, and so we all have our, you know, our own needs, and there's different options out there. You know, like we had a guest on the show recently, Mark Kageyama, and he was talking about, you know, different options you have as a cancer patient. You might get chemo or radiation. You might opt for some sort of alternative method. You might opt for a combination of the two, or you might do nothing at all. And those might all be different options for you, So the importance of, and getting a second opinion and things like that. I know doing things like that have been important for me as I've struggled with chronic migraines as well. I've been pretty lucky in terms of I've had the same oncologist for the entire 15 years since I've been diagnosed. And so I'm grateful for that. But it is important to, do your own research and find out the different options out there for sure. Yeah.
Just a few more questions. So often we tend to categorize people by like some feature, like Jason Freeman has a speech impediment. Tim deals with cancer. What would you say to us about seeing the whole person and not just a diagnosis or condition or whatever?
I mean, there's more to Tim Sohn than just cancer survivor. But I will say that usually when I go on shows, or I have in my LinkedIn profile, it says leukemia survivor, and people find me that way because I want to connect with other survivors. So I do find it. I do want to connect with other people that are survivors, right? And I think each person has to make their own decision in terms of, like, when you put yourself out there, how, like, do you want to connect with other people? And if you do, right, then you want to put that out there. Or, if you're going to write a book about it, or whatever you're going to do, each person has their own situation. But there is so much more to a person than just, a speech impediment or leukemia. Like, I've shared so much of my story today on this show. There's so much more to me than, having cancer. My whole journey from going back to New York City up to the middle of freaking nowhere in Pennsylvania, and starting a show with my bestie. Yeah, I mean, there's so much more to a person than just one thing, right? Just
So
many
much
different
more
aspects.
than just one thing. Yeah.
Different perspectives.
What?
Different perspectives or aspects.
Yeah, different aspects, and yeah, that's powerful. So I ask every guest about what imperfect best means to them. What it means to me, doing your imperfect best. To me, it means having in mind your best, but when things come up, imperfections, mistakes, different circumstances come up, just going for just using that as fuel to go for your best instead of reason to stop. What does imperfect best mean to you?
Imperfect best means to me just showing up, showing up and showing up the best that you can in the moment as you are. Which is all about what we're all about on Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. And
it truly is.
Yeah, that's what I would say. Just showing up as you are in the moment, doing the absolute best that you can. But we all have things going on in our lives, and just showing up and doing the best you can, no matter what's going on in the background.
showing up and doing the best that you can, no matter what's going on in the background. I love that. And then, do you have any other? I put the awkward search for Tim Sohn on LinkedIn, but do you have any other way you want people to contact you?
That's really the best way. LinkedIn or my email address, which is really long, which I could put in the email or in the comments afterwards.
Oh, okay. Maybe you can do that because we will be here for.
It is the longest email address ever. I'm just warning you. So when we put it in the comments, you might just want to copy and paste it to save decades worth of time. Just saying.
Nice. It involves the word solution, but that's all I know.
Yes, that's part of it.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for being on the show, Tim, and thanks for being just amazing and helping so many people and just being you and just showing up.
Thank you, Jason Freeman. Thank you for showing up and showing up in my direct messages to support me as a friend and showing up perspectives on cancer. Really appreciate your friendship and all your support. I'm wafting you love and hearts and friendship and all the things. Can you feel it?
Oh, thank you. Love.
Yes. Oh my gosh, my bestie is the bestest. Thank you, bestie. You're the best. And
So that address without the exclamation points, because if you
minus
put the exclamation points in, yeah,
the exclamation points.
minus. Oh, and Jenny says love.
Yes. And extra special shout out to my bestie for just everything, for always being there and being so supportive and showing up. Showing up always.
Thanks. Thanks, your bestie. Thanks to your bestie. Thanks to you, Tim. Have a wonderful evening. Oh, I love doing this show. I love doing the show. People like Tim wouldn't might not phrase it this way, but he's really a hero. He's helping so many people to share what's really going on with themselves, so they can heal and inspire other people and invite other people to heal, and the effect of that just ripples out and ripples out and ripples out, and this is my ripples out gesture, and you might not be able to understand ripples out or this gesture, but I hope you somehow get the sense of what I'm talking about. Next week, another wonderful guest. Thanks for your time this week. Hope you enjoyed it.